Listen, Miocules, I'll spot you, but I gotta tell you, I'm not giving up my own lifting prowess waiting on you to actually make one rep. Yeah, I don't know, I don't speak that Fortnite gibberish. I actually say it and try not to emote. You can't talk to my cat friend like that, old man. Old man? What is this, David and Goliath? Remember, I've been around this earth for a while. The bigger they are, usually the harder they fall.
Yo, Joe!
Hello, toy fans. I'm here with another one of our toy openings. Now, this was something I picked up recently. Now, he's been out for a few months now, and he is a Target exclusive G.I.Joe classifieds figure. And all the Tiger Force and I believe the Python Patrol figures are. But this one was one that recently, when we were talking with, of course, Jeff from Talking Toy Story Jeff, and Dan's here, we were talking about the different characters that were coming out in G.I.Joe as we were reviewing the 1987 run of figures, and we were looking and talking about Outback. And out of that, Outback seems to be kind of one of those favorites for everyone. Now, this, of course, is the Tiger Force Outback that had a recoloring where he had, you know, the orange shirt with the giant tiger face painted on it. This seems to have a nice update, and the gray hair. And honestly, I'm looking forward to this one. This is one of those I picked up at one of my local resale shops. Now, I got them for under 20 bucks, which is kind of a big thing because they retail for about $22. And as I went online to look, I noticed that they're starting to go up in price. And this is definitely one of those figures that I never knew I wanted until I had it in hand. So, let's take a look at the packaging and let's talk about Stuart Outback Selkirk. Now, Outback here, of course, comes in, this is the last wave of windowed boxes. Pretty much everything after that stopped being a windowed box. And we'll actually look, because I've got the Blue Ninja set for Cobra that I would like to talk about as well. And that one comes in the windowless box. So we'll kind of take a look at those a little bit down the road and kind of, talk about the windows versus the non-windows and some of the quality control issues therein having a windowless box. Now, the thing that I like about the windowed boxes, you do get to see what you're going to get. And honestly, from what you get right here, it is a very nice looking figure. It has beautiful sculpting, even all the detail on the backpack, the grid work and everything. It is an incredible looking action figure. Now, does boast that Tiger Force's G.I.Joe classified Stuart Outback Selkirk. And we get kind of it's almost like a traditional, almost like chalk style drawing, comic book drawing of him there. On the side, we do get some more of that it's actually the artwork here, that kind of chalked out artwork, which is pretty nice. On the back, you do get some mission control stuff. We see like some jungle aspects of thing. Looks like it's like like ruins and jungle, and I know this is, I think, supposed to be like Cobra Island. And then over here we get, of course, some file card stats. We got Desert Patroller, Jungle Survivalist, Light, Armament, and I believe this is like global, able to go around globally. So we shall see. All right. Now, that's pretty much the box, and honestly, there's nothing else to say about the box. We've gone around the whole thing, we've looked at it, we know this is number 39 of the series, even though all the numbers are kind of all over the place. And their stats are kind of all over the place too, so it's not exactly like what you think of as like old school file cards. I know that there's an app for it. I haven't downloaded it, honestly, and maybe that's something I should do, kind of like what I did with the Jurassic World stuff back in the day. So that's all I gotta say about Stuart Outback Selkirk in package. We need to get this one out and get to battling. And straight out of the packaging, this of course is our Tiger Force Outback, and my goodness, this is an incredible looking action figure. I absolutely love it. He's got like kind of the manliness looks about, he's actually, my kid thinks he looks a little bit like me. I don't think so, but it's definitely making me want to grow a beard back because, wow, I mean, he just looks tough. Even though he's got an orange shirt with a tiger on it, he still looks really, really tough. And I dig the look of him. Now, with him, he does have that huge Outback backpack, and I mean, this is textured really, really well. You've got a lot of like grid textures on here, webbing textures, lots of nice folds and stuff. I mean, it looks like a used rucksack. So, I mean, it is of course super detailed, looks really nice. It is casted in one plastic, so there's no washes on it or anything. I feel like it maybe could have done with a little bit of like a brown wash to kind of dull it down, or to add some shadows, you know, to kind of enhance a little bit more. But for what we're getting a really nice backpack. With that, he also comes with this spade, and it is casted in a gray plastic, and it's a lot like his weapons. His weapons were done in a gray plastic as well. One thing to keep in mind is he does have a spot here that's got like a little square, and we can put his spade on his backpack, and it can go on either side. With that, he also has, of course, his military-grade flashlight. Nice and neat. And they made this plastic on the end, instead of texturing it, they made it to where it was nice and smooth, so it would be shinier. And that actually goes over here in his flashlight holder on his leg. There we go. Looking good so far, Outback. He also comes with his pistol, and this, of course, is not like the standard like pistol that we're getting with Cobra and other characters. I know there's the Tiger Force Duke, and he comes with this simplified pistol that everyone hates. Not this one, but a different one. And I know that's something that people are complaining about. I'm after that Duke, so hopefully one day I can get that with the motorcycle. But he has this really nice, well sculpted pistol here. It looks like it's got a laser sight on it, and then it's got kind of a wrap up here on the handle that goes over here in his holster. Yeah, let's take a look at that boot knife. So we do have this little tiny survival knife here. It is a really cool piece. Now mine's a little bent. I had a couple of the items that were bent, so as I'm working the lights, I might try to start bending that back out. But it's got a nice serrated edge on it, and it's got a pretty good handle. He seems to hold a lot of these items really well, so there's no, there's nothing about like whether these are going to fit in their hands. They all fit fairly well from what I could tell. And that goes into his sheath on his boot. And then we get this teeny tiny magazine. You know, this is the first one I've gotten, I think, where the magazine actually comes out of the weapon. I haven't had a weapon so far that I think had a magazine, because they were all either laser guns or like bowcasters. No, my Zartan has a pistol. I think my Baroness has, of course, you know, golden pistols and the guns mount on the bike, but none of them have that magazine. So this is the first one that has a magazine. There is a small sculpted bullet on top. It is really hard to see, but there's also a notch down here at the bottom that tells you which way is forward. So this fits right up into his machine gun. Now, it is a little loose. I tried fitting one way or another. One way seems to stick a little bit better than the other. You know, I think this is the actual way it's supposed to go, but you know, it's not falling out, so that's something to keep in mind. This one also came a little bit bent from being in the cards, so I've been trying to work it out with these lights I have. Now you can sling this up on him. You could sling it up like that, kind of. It doesn't sling onto his body very well. You could also take it by the trigger well, and you could put it right through the backpack there, so it could hold onto his bag if you wanted to do that. Of course, his backpack could peg in. Now, there's a couple things with his backpack. His peg is there. The peg for his harness is there. So if you put the peg through his harness, it's gonna make his harness here float unless you pull it down like this onto his belt. But if you want that belt to show, best thing to do is just pull this part back and plug it in above the hole. Just keep in mind, it doesn't grip quite as well because it doesn't have that extra layer of plastic to go through. Now, a few things to note on him. His tilting hand for the actual, he's got trigger fingers on each hand. This hand has got the tilt back and forth. This one actually has that weapon tilt. And the weapon does fit within his hand quite nicely. If I can get it in there. There we go. It does fit in his hand quite nicely. And I really do believe that, and I can't remember the file card, I had to look on G.I.Joe.com, but I believe he's a lefty, so he's a southpaw. So that might explain why they chose to have his weapon into his left hand, which is pretty nice. Overall, he's an excellent figure. Now, the rundown of articulation, he does have that barbell sort of articulation in the head. He's got a lot of really good articulation. There is a little bit of movement in the neck, but it's kind of hindered from this collar, and it's good because I don't really like that double floating neck. He does have the butterfly jointing in the shoulder, and it moves out quite a bit. He does have ball hinge and bicep cut. He does have the double hinged arms that allow his arm to go way, way up, so he could pull a, was that Cobra move from Sylvester Stallone's movie Cobra. And then, of course, the swivel wrist along with the rocker for the pistol, and the one that pulls back for the for holding the foregrip. He does have that ab crunch, and it's nice and stiff. There is that ball jointing here, but mine is super stiff, so there's not like a lot of waist articulation on him. Mine's kind of stuck. Not that it's stuck. It's just it's hard to it's pretty in there. Now, he does have this unique kind of hip thing that allows his hips to go down. I'm not sure why, but he does have that ball jointing there in the leg. The swivel cuts for the thighs, double hinge knees, boot cuts, along with the ankle rocker, and then the foot twist. So he's got all the standard movement of any of the G.I. Joe classifieds. None of it seems to be hindered too bad. As a matter of fact, sculpting wise, for what we're getting with them, it's held on pretty well. And I mean, it's a good looking figure. Again, this is one of those figures that, you know, I never thought I really wanted an Outback, and let alone a Tiger Force Outback, until I saw it actually on card. And of course, here is Outback along with some friends from other toy lines. Now, these three here, of course, being all Hasbro. You've got, you know, Zartan from G.I. Joe Classified, which, if I understand it correctly, he's a pretty big dude, and he almost goes head to head with Outback. Of course, this was a sample I got from Gary. Gary, thank you, because that is an awesome Zartan, and I love having him in my collection. Now, with them, they have Bodhi Rook. Bodhi Rook, of course, with the Star Wars Black series. And, you know, I'm going to give it kind of that sort of nod to, I know that G.I. Joe Classified is supposed to be a 6-inch action figure toy line. However, they tend to be more about 7 inches or 6.5 inches, because they're supposed to be big dudes. They're supposed to be about 7 foot, or not 7 foot. They're supposed to be like 6 foot, 6'3", that sort of height there. And I know Duke, I believe, comes up to here, and he's supposed to be 6'3", which would put Outback probably about right at 6 foot, 6'1". Maybe 5'11", which would make him my height, so maybe I could cosplay as him. I don't know. Bodhi Rook, I don't think is a very tall person as it is, so we can see that nice height difference between them. And then also joining us, of course, is that new Eternia He-Man. And it's funny because thinking about the old He-Man lore with Mark Taylor and them talking about He-Man and how big and buff he is, they would be probably about 7 foot something and about 400 to 500 pounds of muscle. So obviously it shows. He dwarfs all the other figures. So I kind of like to think of these as all being in the same scale and in the same line, even though they're not all in the same line. And of course, with some other friends, now looking at the Fortnite flavored things, Here he is alongside the Black Knight, which we just got done talking about. Head is fixed, for those who are wondering. It is done. They stand almost head to head. You could display them with the Jazzwares Fortnite. You could also display them with the Hasbro Fortnite. One thing to keep in mind, Dio is a really tall figure. So is Meowcles. So he's going to fall short of Meowcles and, of course, Dio. But everything else, like weapon-wise and such, should be about the same. I kind of wondered with this if the Fortnite, now the pegs don't exactly work, so it doesn't fit. I was kind of hoping that at some point I could give him a backpack with the skateboard and it didn't have weapons all over it and he could go to a store. That one was for you, Jeff. For those who are wondering, Jeff from Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. Really cool toy podcast. Be sure to check it out. But this is, of course, Outback along with characters from Fortnite. And it works out actually really well. All in all, I think Outback is one of those incredible figures that we kind of didn't expect to get on this level, but what they did with the figure is incredibly nice. The small details and nuances of the texture in the pants, the correct choice of boots, the extra holsters and sheaths to put things in. It's incredibly well done, and it seems like one of those kind of passion projects towards the figure that you don't normally get with a lot of the G.I.Joe work. Yeah, there's of course the normal Hasbro issues of some warped weapons, some kind of weird joints, and some use of backpack space and things that could be better. There's also quality control with the little white dots on the back of his knees that's a little odd, and I've got a few paint applications like on the wrist that are just kind of awkward, that either overpaint or just don't look that good. But the actual screen printing, including the hair on his arms, the actual paint application of his eyes and face, and even the updated tiger on his shirt are incredibly well done. The camouflage on his pants is very subtle, and there's small paint details here and there, including the strap on his rifle, that just make this feel like a passion project for this particular figure. I know a lot of people are really excited about, the upcoming Outback, because I know he's out for pre-order now. A lot of people want that. But this is definitely one I would say that I honestly feel like I enjoy this version more than I would enjoy the other Outback. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I'm an older gentleman now and I kind of like the idea of finding figures that resemble me a little bit more, even though that I'm probably in better shape than he is. Well, okay, all kidding aside, I need to be in better shape like he is here. But that does kind of remind me a little bit of myself. Battle hardened and been on the world for a while, and I absolutely love the look of this particular toy. If it's one of those that you're an Outback fan and you're a G.I.Joe fan, or you're just like a soldier fan and you want kind of a battle hardened, soldier to play with, this is definitely one of those go-tos that I think you will be upset if you miss out on, because it is such a cool action figure. Now, that's all I gotta say about Tiger Force Outback from Hasbro's G.I.Joe Classified. Hasbro, you did a good one this time. Remember, they're not dolls. In this case, they're action figures. Action figures that have been around in the wild for a while. When I'm not recording videos here on YouTube, I'm actually over on a podcast on marvindogmedia.com called Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. It's a really cool toy podcast. Be sure to check it out. Also, I need your help getting my YouTube channel to grow. Be sure to subscribe down below with that big red button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can be alerted of anything that comes from me to you. Like this video, it helps YouTube know that you like what I'm making, and comment down below. I like chatting with you all.